Gregor Paul from the New Zealand Herald here talking rugby again with Wyn Gray. Hello, Wyn.
Good morning.
Now, coaching's the theme of the day. We've seen Mark Hammett come in for a hammer time in the capital, you once wrote. He's actually getting a bit of a hard time, and probably Todd Blackadder is too. And I'm keen to get your thoughts on what we've seen so far. We've had a couple of teams, Crusaders and Hurricanes, have started quite slowly. Is your sense, is that a player problem? Is that a coaching problem? What do you make of what you've seen so far?
Well, I think it's probably a consequence of the season being stretched out even further. It goes into July, August these days, and I think that coaches probably and players are probably looking at this and thinking, we've got time to build into this competition. Perhaps they have, but this is the issue that I have with the Super Rugby competition, that it's not as intensive as it should be all the way through.
Yeah.
That there is too much sort of softly, let's wander into the tournament instead of really making it rip, shit and bust, if you like, from the beginning to the end.
Well, that's it, because they've had a pre-season, and surely your pre-season is the time where you answer a lot of the questions in terms of selection, game plan, structures, all those kinds of things. You don't sort of get into the season and then worry about them as you go. I mean, I don't get the impression that some of these teams have made good use of the time they've had.
Well, no, especially when you consider, okay, remove 30-odd All Blacks out of the equation. That's fine. But every squad knows that they're removed, basically, from the start of the season. So they've got the rest of their squad to work with from November through to late February. Now, if that's not enough time to get themselves organised and get themselves sorted, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah.
You? Are you equally perplexed by that sort of thing?
Yeah, I am. I don't like hammering coaches for the sake of it. I don't think that's a fair thing to do. But from what I've seen from the Hurricanes, or what I saw from the way the Hurricanes played on Friday, it didn't strike me that they had a clear plan about what they were trying to do on the field. Now, maybe they did, and the players were ignoring that plan, but we saw that with the Blues in 2012. You're on it. You got bigger problems if that's the case. If the players know what they're trying to do but are choosing not to do it, then that's disastrous and never works itself out. So
does it suggest to you perhaps that the coaches and players are spending too much time in the classroom rather than practical bits and pieces on the field?
Possibly. I sometimes wonder if players suffer from information overload, where their coaches give them too much information.
Now we're talking.
And they get this kind of what they call paralysis by analysis, where they can't think anymore because they've got 1,000,001 options running through their head. The Hurricanes looked like they got to that point a little bit and then went free-for-all in the final 20 minutes, which does not necessarily work either, because it's individuals coming out of a structure and trying to fix it themselves, and that doesn't work either. If your game plan starts there and says, we won't actually really have a game plan, we'll just run around and see what happens, you might get away with that. But I don't know, I wonder if the balance is there to be struck between set plays, phase plays, how you set yourselves up, and then allowing the players the ability to use their creativity and spontaneity and instincts to manage around the structure. And I'm not sure we've seen the right balance from teams quite yet.
If I was on coaching staff too, I would be tempted also to use some other tactics at times, for example, such as saying to them, righto boys, for the next few weeks, we're actually only going to come in here 3 times a week. You can have the other 2 days off. But if you're not sharp as a tack on those 3 days when you're in here and know what we're on about and perform it on the field, then you're in strife.
Yeah.
But we'll cut you some slack if you're producing at the weekend when your employment's on show.
Yeah. What about though? What would worry me a wee bit is selections that seem a little bit reactionary and random, because you've got to marry your selection to your game plan. And if you're taking, and let's use Israel Dagg as an example, because he's the highest profile guy who we've seen. He starts fullback, he's dropped, he's reintroduced on the wing. That concerns me, because it makes me think, if they've got a game plan, he is by far and away the best strike runner in that back line. So their game plan should be designed to put him into space, to use him to go through holes. So if you're not sure if he's a fullback or a wing or on the bench, are you sure what your game plan is?
And probably, the other part, if he is not ready to play at fullback, then don't pick him. Otherwise, you're just sort of shoveling him into another vacancy and then seeing what you'll get out of him. Yeah, I'm equally as perplexed by decisions the Crusaders have made at first 5-8 and also the Blues. Here were the Blues all through the pre-season. Okay, they knew that Noakes was going to be just about right, and he came right, and they picked him for game one and then gave him slung him.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And they brought in this guy Hickey, who's fourth or fifth choice, really, in their group. What have they been doing in the off-season, which was your original question?
Yeah, and that's what you wonder about, because if you're making big... We all know that in this competition, a number 10 is pretty important to your overall way of playing, and if you're prepared to chop and change, do you really know what you're trying to do at that point?
Now clearly there's enough rugby nous in the Blues to fill, several concrete mixes. Graham Henry, Mick Byrne, John Kerwin, they know what they're on about. But this just seemed weird in that first 5-8 is such a crucial position for any rugby team.
Yep.
The director. What were they up to?
Well, maybe they've arrived there through unfortunate means or not accurate means, but I think they've arrived there. That's the important thing for me now, is I think this guy actually looks to me...
Yes, he does.
...like he's got a lot of composure. He's a kind of Tom Taylor sort of player as far as I can tell. Very composed, doesn't panic, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, kicks his goals and reads the game well enough to put the Blues in all the right places. Now, he's 20. I couldn't care less if he was 17. He's able to play at that level. I would like to see the Blues stop talking about the need to be careful with him and to manage him. Carlos Spencer was 20 and he bamboozled the world at that age, and he was an All Black at that age. Carter wasn't much different. So let's calm down about his age and keep going with him.
He's doing just fine at the moment. I would say that the Blues have got other issues in their team after watching them have another soft performance against the Bulls at the weekend. They've got other issues. But it's like the Crusaders, isn't it? We hear them toying about, is it going to be Tom Taylor? Is it going to be Colin Slade? Is it Tyler Blindale at first 5-8? The other crucial position in that team, and they're still umming and ahhing about this. I find that extraordinary.
Well, what would you do? What would be your choice?
Well, I would have, having decided to start with Blindale, I don't see why they didn't persevere with him. Presumably, he ran their game plan as they wanted to. Okay, he missed 5 shots at goal in the first half, and that is crucial. He's not going to do it again.
Presumably not.
No. So is he not, therefore, the better all-round player at first 5, and they can use Tom Taylor wider out or at fullback or somewhere else where he will serve them well?
Again, when finally, some more common sense from you. Where's it all coming from? I do not know, but thank you anyway.